A new day dawns in Paris, the home of DW correspondent Susanne Durhage. She and her neighbors spent the night barricaded in their homes in the city's 11th arrondissement, while the police searched their street for the perpetrators. Now, the day after the deadly attacks, she's able to view the aftermath at a local restaurant, La Bonne Bière. 10 people were shot dead here just hours earlier.
We were just a few buildings away, but we could easily have been sitting here. The pavement here was covered in blood, but now it's been washed away. The wife of a colleague works at the restaurant, but luckily she wasn't working last night. It's shocking to stand here and see how an attack like this can happen practically on our front door. Any one of us could become a victim.
She notices a young man sitting on the ground outside the supermarket, looking rather disconsolate. His name is Thomas, and he only recently moved to Paris to go to college. He lives above the restaurant and cannot get the images of what happened out of his head. Thomas saw the terrorists killing hotel guests and passers-by in cold blood, showing no emotion as they fired indiscriminately.
I was up there in my room. Down below, I could see a body. He was facing me, and it felt as if he were looking at me. I was right above him and could see his eyes. It's awful. I can't stop thinking about how he looked at me. That's the horrible part.
A horror that began at 9:20 the evening before. Gangs of men attacked 5 restaurants armed with Kalashnikov assault rifles. 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up outside the National Soccer Stadium during a match between France and Germany. And a mass hostage-taking took place inside a concert hall. Over 130 people have died, and around 350 were injured. We now know there were at least 9 Islamic fundamentalists involved in the attack, 7 of whom are now dead. Some of the suspects are from Belgium. The attacks on the restaurants have left this neighborhood scarred and shocked.
Usually at this time there's a market going on over there, but not today. It's the saddest Sunday I've ever seen here.
Just 2 blocks away, a Cambodian restaurant popular among young Parisians was another of the targets for the terrorists. People have been coming from across the city to pay their respects. The streets are full of people, but on this Saturday morning, the neighborhood is a world away from its usual bustling self.
It's devastating. I feel deep sorrow and I feel the pain of the people. I'm in total shock. And the mood is so grim.
I wanted to pay my respects, but then I couldn't go. I couldn't make it all the way over there.
It hurts to see so many innocent victims. It's shocking. I never would have thought there would be attacks here in our neighborhood. We have people from everywhere living here. There's no conflict here.
Paris is a center of European and Christian heritage, but today very much a cultural melting pot. Susanna goes to this restaurant every day to get a cup of coffee. It's never been an issue that its owner, Ahmed, is Muslim. And if it is now, it's only because he wants nothing to do with the perpetrators.
Whoever does something like this is not a Muslim, shooting at people with Kalashnikovs. It could have been me or my family. The shooting was at the other end of the street, but they could just as easily have been shooting here in my restaurant. And there were a lot of people inside.
Susanna's husband and Ahmed have been friends for many years. Last Friday's attacks have only brought them closer together.
What I feel is the absolute necessity to stand together, whether we're Christians or Muslims or whatever else.
The local community is pulling together in the face of adversity, as elsewhere in the city, and especially outside the Bataclan Theater, where the atrocities reached their horrific climax. Amateur video footage from a local resident. Here, a group of heavily armed men stormed into the theater during a rock music performance and began firing into the crowd. Then they systematically killed dozens of young people before detonating suicide vests. 89 people died.
Back there is the Bataclan Concert Hall, where our older children often go. They could easily have been at the concert and been killed. The question now is, do we now stop them from going out? Are they supposed to be extra careful and just stay at home?
It's at least encouraging to see that most businesses have already reopened. Life has returned to the streets, despite, or perhaps because of the huge police presence. The local florist is giving away flowers today. On a day like this, he's more interested in showing his commitment to the community than making money.
I closed my store at first because I was in mourning. I went to see my friends. There are a lot of old people living alone here. People would be confused to find my store shut. No, we can't allow them to get the better of us.
Can you tell me your first name?
My name is Isa, which is Jesus in Arabic.
A name and a symbol of the deep links between Islam and Christianity and other religions, just as local people here have close ties. During the attack, Susanna briefly considered moving to a quieter, smaller town, but she's now certain she'll stay.
If we barricade ourselves and no longer go out, and if we forbid our children to move around freely, it means changing our way of life. And that's the real objective of this terror, to make us live in fear, and that's something we cannot accept.
Susanna's neighbors are sitting beside the Canal Saint-Martin as usual. She sees it as a calm and determined show of defiance in the face of adversity, not to let their lives and values be destroyed by terrorists.